Aaron Whitlow,
Brandon Spivey, and we are the Mark Out Movie Podcasters. And on today's episode, Aaron, what are we doing?
Bosco, a 2024 movie that is on Peacock that feels more like it should be on Tubi. Um,
Oh, whoa. This is going to be a bad review from Aaron Whitlow.
maybe not. We'll see. But let me tell you, so it's a 2024 film.
Uh-huh.
It just came out on February 2nd. Based on the story of Quante Bosco Adams, sentenced to 35 years for attempted possession of marijuana. It's pretty terrible, terrible charge and terrible time, like sentence to give a guy for possession of marijuana, in my opinion. Um, but uh, but uh, but with the help of a woman from a Lonely Hearts ad, he he escapes to see his daughter, but is forced to take responsibility for his past.
I
It
have a
so
question.
the synopsis gives away the whole movie.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What is a Lonely Hearts ad?
So Lonely Hearts ad is an ad for essentially a Lonely Heart. So like a one ad, like one of my favorite songs is what's called just the one with "Do You Like Pina Colada?" You know that song?
I do.
All right, so that song is about a Lonely Hearts ad. Like the guy answers a woman's ad that's in the paper that she likes pina coladas and get caught in the rain. She's into yoga and you have a brain. And then he not much into yoga, but that's what that but yeah, that's what that is.
Mm.
A lonely heart ad. So yeah, so people that's lonely meet. It's pretty much like what's that other eHarmony or something like that.
Yeah, you
But
should just go on dating apps. It's safer.
there wasn't a dating app slang at the time. This movie takes
That's
place in 1990.
Yeah, you're right. There wasn't. Do your thing, lonely ads.
So Quante, as we stated before, is played by Aubrey Joseph, which I'm not familiar with, but you're familiar with him, Brandon.
Oh yeah, yeah. He was in the Freeform show Cloak and Dagger, which is a Marvel show, which I hated. I just thought it was boring. I didn't like him, and I didn't like the girl. Never finished it. I
Hmm.
just, but it's not that he's a bad actor. I don't think he's a bad actor. I actually thought he was pretty strong in this movie, but I just at the same time, I just don't care. I don't
Yeah,
know if
you
you get
said
that vibe or not with him, but it's like I didn't think
you,
he did bad here, but I don't care.
you said that he wasn't for you very likable.
I don't think anybody in this movie is very likable except for the
The
lonely
lonely heart.
ad, and she's just gullible. So
Yeah, I will say that I marked that when I seen her because I know her from as Tracy Turnblad in the Hairspray remake movie, the musical that came out several years ago. She played Tracy Turnblad. But yeah, so this movie stars Aubrey Joseph as Quante Adams. Later on, you'll see Nikki Blonsky as Tammy. Uh, his cellmate right next to him, John Lewis, plays the Bull. DC Youngfly is Rooster. He's across the hall from him. Uh, then there's a guy later on named Carlos, but mainly Jim O'Hare, Bo, aka Jerry from Parks and Rec. He plays the alcoholic dad, I guess.
yeah, I mean it was great seeing him. I marked out for him.
Yeah.
He wasn't likable either, though.
No, he wasn't likable. But also I didn't take him serious as being angry. I'm like, that's just Jerry. I can't take him serious.
yeah,
It's sad,
he got knocked down. What
but he
towards
got
the
nothing.
end?
No.
He
Yeah,
got
he
up
got
back
nothing.
up again. Yeah.
Theo
Yeah.
Rossi, who plays Ramos. He is he's most known for uh, Sons of Anarchy. He also had a movie that came out this year called The Get Back. I think it was what it was called. A buddy of mine was it came out last year. The Get Back. A buddy of mine was one of the executive producers for that movie. Demetrius Stair, and it was on Tubi. If it might still be on there, but it was actually it was a pretty good movie for Tubi has some gems on it. You just gotta search.
Gotta search. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, you forgot to mention him, but
I
he's
know
in
you're
this
going.
movie.
I know you're going there. No, maybe are you going Tyrese or are you going Thomas James?
Oh, who cares about Tyrese? No, I'm playing. I'm playing. No, I was going Thomas Jane. Yeah, Tyrese is in this too. Actually, you know what? I found him funny, even though it's a dramatic role. But him trying to teach his son not to, to be a strong man. And what does he do? He acts like what he's telling his son not to act like when the
Yeah,
cops show up. I just thought that was hilarious. Here you are
yeah.
trying to showing him how to be, and you're being the opposite once the
I,
cops show up.
I will say this about Tyrese in this movie. It's Tootie. It's his name. I will say this, Tyrese. Uh, Tyrese. I never bought him as a gangster in anything, not even in Baby Boy. But he looks like he literally looks like he could have been his same character from Baby Boy, just now an adult with his own kid or kids growing up or whatever. But yeah, he hasn't really aged. He hasn't really aged much. Uh,
Yeah,
he looks he looks like really young actually in the film. But yeah, but no, yeah, I know you want to talk about the Punisher, Thomas Jane.
yeah.
He's the Punisher. He's always gonna be the Punisher to me.
I think for me, he'll always be what's his name? Oh, I can't think of his name now. But
And
Deep Blue Sea, Deep Blue Sea. I mean, he's always gonna
I,
be that
I,
character for me.
I
That was my
also
first experience.
I'm gonna also say I also go the Mist, which
Yes,
is the
that one too.
Punisher. But yeah, Thomas Jane, who is actually really like he's not likable at all, but he's really good. He's very believable as a maybe a racist, bigoted, grumpy, alcoholic veteran that works in
Yeah,
this prison. So very, very believable.
yeah, I agree. I think he did a really good job. It's always good to see Tom Jane, no matter what kind of role he's playing. You're gonna get his best
Mm-hmm.
in what he does, and I felt you got it here. He was good. He wasn't a very likable person, but he stood out of all the people that probably don't stand out really.
Yeah,
It's to me, it's kind of a forgettable movie.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
when you get to the end of it, it's like, this really didn't hit the right way they were probably intending it to hit, and I didn't like how it ended. I thought by the description of the movie, it was going to be a lot more
the
about
vacation.
about him escaping than everything leading up to the escape.
Yeah, I thought this is what I thought it was going to be. I think because with the poster, you see all the guys, the people in it, like on the top of the poster or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I thought maybe it's going to be like a group effort, like different people in the cell block are going to try to escape together. Is what I thought it was going to be. I didn't know it was going to just be him trying to escape, and I felt like the escape was fairly anticlimactic, um, and also I felt like a lot of I felt like it's very cheap. It felt like a very cheap. Yeah, that's why I brought up the Tubi aspect because it felt cheap. Like the monitors where Thomas Jane was set to kind of check. Usually, if you have officer, a CO, he is in the pod. He ain't gonna leave the pod in order to help with an inmate because that pod is where he's supposed to be. He's supposed to monitor the monitors. And even then, it looks like he only had two monitors, like two cells monitors. He didn't really have like where we see like at least 4 or 5 different inmates in that
Mm-hmm.
little isolation cell block. And so I felt like that was very cheap. Uh, and I also felt like, well, I felt that's cheap, and I felt like there's a lot of things that they did in this that I don't think the actual prison would do. Like I think one of the officers had an actual gun on him, which I don't think that you would in the prison system. I don't think that you would really carry the gun inside because of the risk. What if they
Yeah.
get the weapon? Certain things. But yeah, I had issues with the realism of some things.
Yeah, I can see that. Like, I can see a lot of that, especially with the escape and then monitoring the situation because they can see the whole room, you know, because they're
Except for the
seeing.
toilet.
Well, you can't see that, but I feel like you could see him cutting. You know, you, I,
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
what I think too.
yeah, it just did come off very plausible while watching it. I'm not saying none of this happened. I mean, if he escapes, obviously this happened, but it just I feel like the guards weren't doing their job while he was escaping. Like they weren't focused, they weren't paying attention. They probably attacking other inmates probably if while he
Mhm.
was escaping. That's my opinion on it. After watching this, that's probably what happened.
Yeah. The the thing that kind of stuck out to me too is I felt like the I felt like the inmates like they were in. So I would say that they was in an isolation cell. There's an
Mm-hmm.
isolation pod where you'd have like one inmate per pod, like per cell, like they would have. Now they do keep, like you can't really look at them on the toilet, or sometimes they have something to kind of make sure that you're not. Because Priya, I don't know, it's like it deals with rape and stuff like that, and it's like a thing you can't do certain things because obviously it's illegal. The people that's in jail is there in your care, and so they gotta make sure that they are keeping themselves from getting you know, doing things. Now I do think that a lot of things that happen. Now I'm not saying it didn't happen, but it's just like with Thomas Jane rather, it's Hunt, how he like would pretty much try to pick a fight with Bosco to get him to like hit him or swing on him or something like that.
Yeah,
It felt like they were trying to not saying that he wasn't the antagonist, but they're heavy handedly trying to make him an antagonist. You know what I'm saying?
mm-hmm.
And then like to what you're saying, Brandon, when he's cutting up into the ceiling, like I feel like there's nothing to kind of hide the fact that you've been cutting a hole in the ceiling.
Yeah,
Like you'll see that. You can put that back, but they see that there's been cut. It's not like in Shawshank where he has a poster hiding the hole that he created. He
yeah,
has nothing hiding it, and that tells me, like you said, that prison they just don't do a good job. They don't do a good job of cell searching for tossing the cells. Just like certain things, he just like. And why did he flush the pages down the toilet? I don't understand the book. I didn't understand that either. I was like, is he trying to flood the cell? I don't know why he's doing that.
yeah. I didn't get that either. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it was I don't know. I don't have an answer for why he was flushing the pages down the toilet, unless it was evidence of a certain book that for dummies how to escape prison. I don't know. I don't know. I didn't get
Yeah,
it. I didn't understand why he was flushing pages down from that book. I don't even know what kind of book it was, honestly.
it was like some type of economics book, which you know, uh, I don't know, man. It's just like there's certain things that was wasted. Like you have DC Youngfly, he played Rooster, the guy across the hall that's like, hey man, fresh fish. You know, the guy that's like coming to everybody that's coming in or whatever.
Yeah,
Um, he is a comedian. He's a very very funny comedian. That stand up and things like that. But I feel like they underutilized him in this movie. He was also recently in that Candy Cane Lane with Eddie Murphy. He was in
oh
there.
yeah,
He was the guy that's the MC of the street thing. He was like, you know,
yeah,
but he's a naturally pretty funny guy, and I felt like they didn't really utilize him for that. It felt like very small. It felt like a very closed, small set. Because you never seen any of the other inmates. Like in the prison, you only see one other staff member, which is that one guy that at one point that came in the cell. But you don't really see anybody. It just felt like it felt cheap. You know what I'm saying? It just came across as very cheap to me.
yeah. It felt like a really low budget, independent film. Which nothing wrong with that. I mean, some independent films are great. Some, they're cheap and they're really good. They have atmosphere, and I I just didn't feel this had much going for it. No, it didn't have a lot of momentum. I didn't feel the script was well written. The characters weren't well established. Uh, I when I look back at his kid's life and I look back at his mom and his dad, to me he had nowhere to go but down. Honestly,
Unfortunately, yeah.
yeah. I mean, just like that one scene with Vivica A. Fox. It's
Yeah.
like he came home early, and she was going to send him right back out. Like it just he didn't have love in his life. There really wasn't love there. That's sad,
Yeah.
and there's not much positive as a story to tell here. It's just a lot of negativity going on in this kid's life.
Which is what brings me to this. It's amazing to me that on Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 71% tomato meter from I guess critics, and the
Yeah,
audience scores 88%. I don't understand. I don't understand why. Like you know,
maybe
not
the acting, maybe.
maybe. I mean, yeah, that's another thing. Like you stated, I won't sit here and act like Aubrey Joseph didn't do a great job as this character. I felt now when with him and Tammy, I felt bad for her.
Mm-hmm.
That's Lonely Heart. I felt bad for her in the sense of her being taken advantage of. And but I understand that he at that point in his life is anything he can do to get out, and he probably had issues hating that he did that as far as like taking advantage of her. But ultimately she forgave him. It seems like, um, but yeah, but hopefully she didn't get no charges, about it. Which I mean, I can't say how you don't get charged to helping someone escape.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she probably got charged
Aiding,
aiding him.
aiding and abetting. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't see any way around that because she helped him escape. She was the getaway driver. I mean, I don't see any way she doesn't get a charge at least. And with her atmosphere, I would say she probably couldn't afford a good lawyer, so she probably did some time for it.
yeah.
But they
But
don't go into what happened after that. Like it's kind of like the end of the movie. He gets caught in a hotel room. I'm assuming he's in a hotel room.
yeah, it seems like the same room, the same hotel that he was at. Like
Yeah,
to me, he gets out, he escapes, just to get caught. Like it's like I don't even think he got to see his child born or anything. Unless
Didn't
unless he got muddled right there, it seemed like he didn't even make it there.
No, it didn't appear that he did. It also kind of appeared like maybe he was dreaming this in a
Mm.
sense. The way they shot it, him just laying down, his eyes, I believe they were closed and they were open. And I don't know, it was a confusing shot to me, but at the end of the day, that's how it was. They ended it. It was all leading up to the escape, and I felt they should have spent more time on the escape, its aspect, but they didn't. And then we see, I believe, pretty sure it was still it was Vivica A. Fox, right? With
Yeah,
I think the child at the end. That's how it ends.
yeah.
He sees his child, and that's it. That's the
And then it
movie.
flashes to the actual guy. And the actual guy argued. He fired his lawyer and argued, uh, his own case, and ended up getting out after 10 years or so of time served or whatever. He ended up getting free and able to like give back to the community and also spend time with his kids. So it's based on a true story.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's I don't know. It was a very interesting story. I would say that like the director of this movie is Nicholas Manuel Pino. He also wrote it. Uh, this guy uh, directed this and a couple of things I've never seen. But my point is, had and this is just my opinion, Brandon. Had this been maybe in someone else's hands and fleshed out a little bit better and a little bit bigger of a budget, it
Mm-hmm.
might have been actually a pretty good little movie. Uh, I think that they could have, even though it's a serious take on the penal system and things like that, it could have, like they could have went a certain way with it and made it more of a maybe a dark comedy. Uh, you know, in the
Yeah.
sense of like with the guys in the prison maybe working together to kind of get out, even if it's only him getting out at the end or whatever. It could have been a lot different. I felt like it was too. It was prison itself is a horrible place. It's just another way of taking people's freedoms.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
and I know that there's some people that has to be locked up because of crimes and threats to other people. But like to be locked up for 35 years for weed is insane. But it happens, unfortunately. Um, I think that prisons, and this is my thought, I think prisons should be utilized to truly rehabilitate people, truly rehabilitate them, give them knowledge, skills, and tools to re-enter society and be a great, part of society. I think that they should do. I think that the way that they treat people like less than human is
Mm-hmm.
insane, and I think that just it like you know, it's. But I do know that there is a reason for the prison system. There is some people out there that will hurt you, or hurt loved ones. That it's true.
Yeah.
But but I'm not trying to preach or anything. I just think that it should be reform. There should be truly prison reform, and things should change.
Yeah. It's a complicated issue. I agree with you, but I also know there's certain people that just won't use it for that and won't allow themselves to be good. Whether it's a mental issue or it's something completely else, they just won't do it. And there's people just want to create chaos in this world. They don't want to live right. They don't want to do right. They want to hurt people. End of the
Hmm.
day, and I don't know what you do with those people. I don't know how you treat those people that do not want to be better. But I agree with you though. It should be used for that, but uh, that's the one common trend in these type of movies. Though you always see someone, a guard, whether he's a racist or not, he gets off on hurting the inmates. It
Yeah,
never fails. I mean, you always see that in these type of movies. Just never fails. It's kind of like a prison trope or something. Which I don't even know if that's even a thing, but
yeah.
because I don't discuss prison movies too often. But
No, and that's not. And honestly, prison genres. I guess I don't know. I'm not really big into prison films, like or television. Like I don't really like. I remember watching Oz, which was captivating but scary at the same time. Uh, I do remember seeing the Shawshank Redemption, obviously,
yeah,
Escape the Trash with Clint Eastwood,
yeah,
and Green Mile. You know, I've seen those type of films. But I'm not huge. Also, Life with Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence. But I like that one obviously more because it's more comedic. But I just, for the most part, prison is very. You know, I had an uncle who actually was in prison for assault. But while he was there, he actually committed murder. Unfortunately, um, and to someone that was working at the prison, and and it's and you know it's life, man, is sacred, man, and I hate that he took from his life.
yeah,
He's no longer alive today. He died ultimately in prison. Uh, but he also, I believe, before he passed, he became a Christian, and so ultimately, God is able to redeem even the hardest of hearts. So, uh,
yeah,
so if he was a believer, if he then he's been forgiven, loved, and forgiven.
yeah,
Um, even the worst thing you can do, uh, God has what God sent Jesus to the cross to you know rectify
yeah,
or or wreck it. You know.
yeah, yeah. I agree. Yeah, I had a cousin that was in prison for attempted murder. I didn't know him really. I met him like a couple times when I was a kid before this happened, but I don't really know him. He served half his life in prison, so he's out now. But I wouldn't know him if I saw him. But yeah, I don't. I wouldn't even if I did see him. I wouldn't even dare ask him what that was like being in prison. It can't be a good story, you know. But
Yeah, like you said this before about the military, and I would say, and I think you mentioned the same thing with prison. You said that it's got to be something that you don't really, people don't really like to talk about. You
yeah,
know that, and so I would agree with you that it's kind of a hard thing to kind of because there's some things that they see there that I can't I haven't seen. You know, I've seen in the sense of I've worked there for a short period of time, but I haven't seen anything what others have seen. And also, I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I would say for those that are working in corrections that are decent, law-abiding people that just doing the right thing, just working and trying to take care of those that is in their care. Because essentially, if you're in prison or jail or whatever, you are in the care and custody of someone else. And so, for those that is actually taking care of them, I commend them that are actually decent and do the job that that they are supposed to do, and are not like a jerk to people and things like that.
yeah,
So I commend that. I commend them for actually you know doing what's right.
yeah, yeah. I mean, there's good people out there. I mean, that do what's right. It just seems like it's a trope in movies to have that one character that's abusing the inmates.
Every movie you have that. You have in Stir Crazy What's that? Well, Gridiron Gang? Not Gridiron Gang. What's the other one? Is it Gridiron Gang?
That's with The Rock, yeah.
No, no. What's the one with Adam Sandler? What's that one?
The Longest Yard.
The Long Yard, yeah. And then Burt Reynolds originally. But yeah, I think that this movie, uh, it, I think that it's interesting, but I don't think that it's interesting enough that like I'm ready to give my score. Um, I'm going to give it two markouts out of five. It was interesting, but it's not interesting enough to remember tomorrow. Like
Yeah.
completely, I forget that I even watched this movie before the end of the year.
Oh, you'll probably forget you watched it next week. What are you talking about? No, I agree. It's interesting, but it's not memorable. Like yeah, I will for a day or two. I'll remember that Thomas Jane was in this movie and he did a great job. But later in the year, uh, I'll go through my letterbox later in the year when we're getting ready to do our best and worst films. I'm like, what's Bosco? It's just because I didn't review it. I just scored it. I was like, what's that? I don't remember that at all. And I feel like that's what this movie is. It's an interesting film, but at the end of the day, you're gonna forget it, and it's just gonna be another movie you watched throughout the year. I'm gonna give it a 2.5. There's moments. It's really interesting. There's really good acting, but there's also moments it's just kind of really bland. And as
Yeah,
you said, it's cheap, and it is. And it. I felt they could have cut out 10 more minutes, made this like a 90-minute film. It still wouldn't have been a 3 for me, but it would have went a little smoother, I guess. But it just it's okay, I guess, at the end of the day, but it's not something I'm going to remember at the end of the
yeah,
year.
yeah, no, yeah, definitely. What we got for next week?
Next week, I'm going old school, 20 plus years with Basic, which stars John Travolta, Sam Jackson, Connie Nielsen, and Tim Daly. I know he's in it. From Wings, if you remember that White show.
Like, quite a white
No,
show.
I mean,
Are
I think
you
there's.
after? I think it came on after Monday Night Raw at one point on
Oh yeah, on
USA.
USA, yeah. I never watched it like when it was running on NBC. I always watched it on USA. So yeah, I think there's only one Italian character, and that was Monk. Tony
Tony
Shalhoub.
Shalhoub?
Yeah, he played
Oh,
Antonio, the cab driver. I don't recall any like black people in that show, like at
you
all.
know, I'm thinking about that show now. It kind of makes sense that Monk, well, Tony Shalhoub will get Monk from there because there's a USA show. After that show wrapped, he probably, Monk was such a great show. That was at the time. I don't know if it was a USA original. It probably came on ABC or NBC. It was sold
NBC.
to USA at one
Yeah,
point for syndication.
yeah.
Uh, but uh, but I don't know. I would say USA early 2000s was pretty epic. You had Psych, you had Monk, you had
It
I think
suits
40, yeah,
Burn Notice.
4400, which was a great show as well that USA had at the time. Dead Zone was I really enjoyed that show.
Hey, I
Uh,
remember Weird Science.
Weird Science
Uh,
was fun. It was like late '90s, wasn't it?
I think so.
Yeah.
That's actually where I watched Weird Science for the very first time. I didn't watch the movie originally. I watched the TV show. That's how I got introduced to the concept. I
This
know,
guy.
I know, I know. Vanessa Angel, though, man. Vanessa Angel, all right? She was
You're so
amazing.
backwards. You're so backwards with your watching things, but
But then
but
but I did eventually watch the movie. The movie's amazing. It's a classic. But Yeah, I mean, you're right. USA had a lot of good shows in its
So,
time.
what do we want people to do?
If you enjoyed this episode, click that like button, click that share, subscribe, and comment. I got it a little backwards today, but it's all good.
It's all good. Yeah, we thank you for tuning in. My last recommendation would be it's on Peacock if you want to see Bosco. Um, Also, I was going to ask you this. I don't know how true this is. But let me finish my little thing though. If you want to see Bosco on Peacock, it's an original movie on there. If you have Peacock, it's runs like an hour or something, maybe an hour 30
Hour.
minutes.
I
Um,
was thinking it was hour and 44 minutes, but
it at times it feels longer, but uh, I mean, watch it for yourself, man. If you like it, we love that you like it. You know.
yeah,
Uh, but I was going to ask you this. I heard rumors. I don't know how true this is, but I heard that Peacock and Paramount are thinking about combining streaming
they
service.
are. They are. Yep.
What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, it's the price will probably go up a little bit to have both.
Hmm.
But I think it's a good idea because I think both streaming services probably struggle a little bit on their own. And, with WWE leaving Netflix, not Netflix, but leaving Peacock, December or whatever it is,
Where would they be? Where were they going?
WWE,
Yeah.
they're going Netflix.
Oh yeah, yeah. So it's for all of WWE. It's not just Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, their whole library. So,
So so all of the WWE network is going to be at Raw. It's going to be on Netflix. Ooh, Netflix better go up in prices too.
yeah,
The
most
house are
likely.
yeah.
But yeah, I feel it would be a good thing for Peacock and Paramount to team up. I just I don't. I think it's just they don't have enough on their own to warrant. The only reason I have it is for the WWE.
Yeah,
You
you
know.
know what? And this is what I feel about a lot of the streaming service, real quick. I feel like, for instance, Max. I think Max. I love that Max is showing NBA games because I don't have cable, so that's the only way I can see the NBA. I'm glad
Yeah.
that I was able to see the Super Bowl this year on Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
Uh, so I was happy to see that. Or you can watch it on Nickelodeon. But why would you do that? But anyway, you could. But I'm glad that that stuff exists because it it's harder and harder to get cable. And I'm glad that some of these streaming services are saying, "Hey, you can come here and watch the NBA games." I love the NBA, and so you know. Then also, I think on Max you can also watch some of the college basketball stuff, March Madness stuff, maybe that's coming up. Uh, I I think that there should be more companies to kind of combine things like that, but it does still create a gouge in people's pockets. I guess
Yeah.
it might be cheaper to get cable. At least you can have everything all in one place. I don't know.
Man, I think it's getting to that point. It's going to be cheaper just to go back to cable. But I mean, we knew this was coming. Once
Mm.
Netflix started to get a little competition. Cable was going to go down, but we're going to have all these streaming services going to cost the same or even more for cable. So I mean, I
They
think
keep,
everybody knew it was coming.
they keep jacking the prices. Like I think so Hulu and Disney Plus and ESPN Plus is owned obviously by the same company,
Yeah,
and so you can bundle those. But I think my like I think Disney Plus is like 19 something dollars a month maybe, or going up to that maybe. I don't know. I know Hulu is higher now by itself, and then I know that uh, Netflix is probably the highest. I don't know. Um,
well, Prime went up as well. So, and plus they added ads. You have to add $2 for ad free. I'm not doing
yeah,
that, but
no, I just watch the ads. I hate that. You know, thank
yeah,
God we have free Tubi and Crackle and Squeezy, but until it's not. till
Yeah.
it goes. But all right, well, I just wanted to get your thoughts on all those things. I appreciate you sharing your thoughts on it.
You're welcome.
All right, well, next week we're going to be watching Basic. Hit from was it 2000, 2001,
2003. Yeah.
2000. I do remember seeing it, I think, in theaters, but I don't recall. It was a long time ago. I was a
It
young
was.
man. I'll be celebrating a birthday in between then. I'll be on Saturday. I'll be turning 44, so I'll be getting a little up in age there.
Yeah. Wow.
But,
You're almost halfway to 90.
oh, geez, thank you. All right, well, this time is free time. Aaron Whitlow,
Brandon Spivey.
thank you for marking out with us here on the Markout Movie Podcast. You have a good rest of your weekend.